This first one here, it's gonna just push some buttons, all right? Which, hey, if you know me, that's what I do, all right? It talks about boot camp specifically and 100% PNT. I have my own personal thoughts on this. I know one person, I'm not going to say his name, not in boot camp, but shortly after he joined our unit as a new join, or what the Marine Corps would call boot, got out with 100%. And I will talk about that and my thoughts on it specifically. It's going to get a little weird, but yeah, should be a good time. Let's go ahead and see what we're about to look at. Okay. So I'm on Instagram here. We're going to review this video. It's very, very short.
People that get out of boot camp with disability and never earned the title of United States Marine.
That's right. Really?
Yes. If you guys get hurt throughout boot camp, they won't just drop you right away. It depends on the severity of your injury. I will tell you this though, right? If they offer you the opportunity, oh, just simply go back home, get better, and then come back, do not do it. You get comfortable again, and then all of a sudden, like, you get a call from your recruiter or whatever, and you be like, yeah, I want to go back. And then you be like, fuck no, hell no, screw that. I'm not going to do that. And then specifically, you remember, you can still get disability.
Oh, 100%.
If you are in boot camp.
Intents and purposes at that point, you are a private in the Marine Corps.
Exactly. You tell me I'm going to get disability and for the rest of my life, and I only have to do a month, 2 months, 2 weeks in your case.
Well, I actually, you know a Marine through social media. She was going through the Commodus course at Paris Island and fell off an obstacle, and she's like paralyzed from neck down now.
No way.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. Yeah, so it happens. It's very.
All right. So I know this is going to push some buttons. Technically speaking, can a person, and this is Marine Corps boot camp, but in Navy, Air Force, whatever, can someone get hurt and get 100%? Jason, I'm going to kick that question to you. Go ahead and let's go ahead and push some buttons. What do you think about that?
So of course, if somebody gets hurt, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? You sign the dotted line. Everybody signed the dotted line. If you get hurt or you get deemed basically not fit to move on because the military injured you, right? And even if it was your own fault because you didn't hold on right or whatever, but you were trying, right? I totally see it. Where I have an issue is when it's and it's not even really an issue, because I have two thoughts: the personal thought and then the actual legal thought, right? So, and I tend to lean on the, well, that's what it is. What it is. It's the way that it's written. Nobody's taking advantage of anything. It's the way the laws are. So if you have a problem with it, don't bitch at the person who did it. Bitch to your congressional member to change it. But remember, it's sweeping, right? So you have to be careful. And sometimes what happens is sure, you're going to get people to take advantage of the system, fake the funk, whatever. I knew a guy who told me that he was so distraught in boot camp that he was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here, that he jumped off the rack, right? The top rack, over and over again, slamming his foot on the ground as he's jumping, trying to break his like leg or his foot or something. And he ultimately did. So look, it's not made for everybody, but the problem is that there's two things. Okay. I like to always segregate it into two different kind of, we'll call it buckets. One is injuries. The other is diseases or other illnesses. Okay. If you have not served active duty, right? If you haven't made it to actual, like out of training, besides training, right? Because boot camp is training, school is training. Finally, you make it in the Marine Corps to the fleet, typically, and so then you'll be really active at that point. If it's during school and that type of stuff, and you end up getting kicked out for some reason, sometimes the bar's a little bit higher to get certain claims through, especially if it's some sort of a disease or something. Now, if it's an injury, right, like they're talking about the lady that fell off the obstacle, my God, yes, she should get it. It would be embarrassing if she didn't get up. Sorry, you didn't make it, more than whatever days, and you're screwed. Sorry, see ya. No, you signed the dotted line. You were ready to do everything you needed to do. So based on just that, absolutely, a person like that with an injury that's sustained, that's not repairable, to keep you in, and they have to medically discharge you, essentially, you should absolutely get disability compensation. I'll give you one other example here real quick. I knew a guy who joined the Coast Guard. He joined the Coast Guard at 18 years old. When I met him, he was in a wheelchair, riddled with just like super aggressive arthritis. And it was one of those like little wheelchairs where, he could like, the big one where he could like hit the button and it like would kind of almost stand him up type of thing, right? One of the, it's cost as much as a Bentley, one of those. And so that's when I met him. And he told me that, about a year or so into the Coast Guard, he noticed like his finger felt like a squeaky hinge. And then all of a sudden it was his knuckles. Then it was his wrist. And then all of a sudden, like his whole body started getting from, he's 100%, he's got SMC, all of that stuff. And here's the thing. Regardless if he joined the Coast Guard or not, right? He probably would have had that.
Yeah.
That's not, and this is the misperceptions out there, and people get pissed off about this because the reality is that, and you know this, Clay, it's not that the military caused the condition, it's that you signed up free of any conditions. The military says, hey, look, you sign up and you serve with us. If anything happens to you or you develop anything during your time in service, we got your back, regardless if the military caused it or not. So if all of a sudden I started getting migraines, or all of a sudden I started getting GERD, or all of a sudden I got some sort of crazy arthritis a year in, okay, you're going to be able to have that as a service-connected condition. So back to you, Clay. Let's hear your thoughts.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to double tap on the legal aspect. I get it. I agree with it. It is what it is. In the injury piece, if you fall off and you injure yourself, that's very clear. What I want to push back a little bit are those, and I'm going to try to say this as PC as I possibly can. Are there those that claim PTSD from boot camp? Are there those that have adjustment disorders from boot camp or basic training? The answer is yes. I have some personal thoughts on that, but again, it goes back to, legally, they signed it, they get benefits. I understand that. And what this brings my attention to, I'm not going to say his name, but I had a junior Marine directly under me who went to boot camp, went to the School of Infantry, went to Infantry Training Battalion, and then came to the fleet. And we trained hard. I can tell you that. Okay. I was definitely a douchebag type corporal. I'm not anymore. Sorry. If you're watching this, I'm sorry. 29 Echo. My bad. But we trained hard, and he did not want to be in the Marine Corps anymore. And what ended up happening, and I'm no psychiatrist, but from my perspective, this person went to go see who we call the Wizard in the Marine Corps. I don't know his actual title. We just call him the Wizard. And he refused to train and refused to fire weapons, to include M4 in his mortar system. Obviously, in the infantry, that's not going to fly. And he was released on adjustment disorder and 100% PNT. He's now a mailman. And I see videos of this dude at the range. I see, right now. And does that really, I'm just going to be straight with you, does that really piss me off? It absolutely does. But legally, my opinion doesn't matter. Legally, that's what happened. That's what he's allowed to do. Am I going to report him? No, I'm not. But is it there? From my personal experience, I think it's yes. Would I ever give an opinion on someone doing that? Absolutely not. Is there a culture shock when you go to boot camp and you're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for? 1,000%. So can it happen? Obviously, the answer is yes, right? Don't let, myself on YouTube say it's not. Those are just my personal thoughts on it. Does it get under my skin? It does. But hey, if it's service connected, go for it,
So to me, just hearing that story, right, it sounds like somebody that took advantage of the system. Look, I don't want to do this, right? So I'm going to figure out a way to just get out and move on, right? So I don't have any other way to get out. And look, we've all had we'll call it the, whatever. I'm not going to call it anything. The person in our platoon or whatever that was that guy or that gal, right? I'm going to lean on. There are people that lie. There are people that exploit. There are people that expand their signs or symptoms and fabricate. Absolutely, there are. Do I like to think there's less in the veteran sphere that do that? Yes, I think there's less, but there are some out there doing it, and I could totally see somebody saying, okay, look, I'm in the military and this sucks and I want to get out, and this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was just going to wear a fancy uniform and shoot pool in a bar. I thought that's what I was going to do unless I went to war. I didn't know I had to actually train, right? So I could see somebody doing that. Sure. Does that person have some issues, right? Sure. Right? Is there an adjustment issue? Sure. Does it really rate 100%? Probably not. Yeah. Right? Probably not. Especially if he's working, right? So in today's rating schedule, so that's really frustrating. And again, it's the dirt baggery that we have in the world. Look, anytime the government gives anything out monetarily, there's going to be people that take advantage of that system, sadly. And for those out there that think about doing it, think twice, because the IG does try to find you, and not every story is really thrown out there, but there are some very severe circumstances where there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of fake earned benefits. And you can live your life looking over your shoulder. If you have a legitimate illness, disease, mental health condition, something like that, injury, and you ended up getting out of the military early, absolutely file your claim. Do it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm also saying on the other side of that coin, are there people that do take advantage? So I do have an absolute problem with anybody who is, and I don't know who is and who isn't, right? You got to know that yourself. So that's up to the IG and everybody else to figure out. And I never, ever advocate, and neither do you, for anybody to manufacture their symptoms. You can manufacture evidence by trying to recreate some things with your doctor and having them provide you Nexus letters and that type of stuff. But you should never make up your own symptoms or make it worse than it is for a few dollars. It's not enough.
Absolutely.
I'm irritated now. Thanks, Clay.
Yeah, sorry.
I hate your story.
That's a true story. And if the OIG ever, if he's ever comes public about it, I will confess as to who it is. And the last thing I will say, and then we'll transition, is we went on a downer there. For those of you who are watching, if that is you, that does not invalidate your claim or your symptoms. Only you know that. And so if it's legitimate, then go for it. I will support you in
Absolutely.
that, right?
Yep.
Next thing I want to show. Now, this one is some more buttons. It is child support and VA disability. Now, there is some comedy in this. We'll just go ahead and watch this clip real quick, and then we're going to talk about what does that actually look like? Can the court system use your VA disability as income for child support? So let's go ahead and watch this. It's Judge Judy. I grew up with Judge Judy on the TV. That and Lifetime is what ran in my household. So
went overseas for deployments, but never stationed.
But where did you go on your deployment?
Bahrain, Dubai, Greece, Italy, and all over.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, good. What about you?
Only Virginia.
Only Virginia?
Only Virginia.
How did you become disabled in Virginia? You said you're on a military disability, so I could understand if you deployed someplace else.
Look.
I have no idea.
You have no idea what?
Look right here.
Why I guess became disabled. Just mentally, I guess. Mentally.
Well, you applied for a disability from the Army.
He whispered something to her. Look.
I said mentally.
Just my own curiosity. I have to see how this is going. How much is your disability benefit from the Army?
2,000.
A month?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an answer. Yes, it's an answer. What about you?
Sorry.
And is your disability mental or physical?
Both.
Well, your physical disability doesn't inhibit you from being a crane operator.
No. Really.
I love America.
Okay, so lots of things I want to speak about here, and I think I'm gonna attack Judge Judy here. Do judges understand VA disability? No, they don't. Obviously, I kind of want to punch her in the face, to be real with you. Especially to put someone on the spot about mental health disability on a show like Judge Judy that's being aired is, dude, I don't know what legal action can be taken, but I would do something personally. And I really want that clip is about child support, and the answer is, can your VA disability be used as income for child support? That answer is yes. There's some caveats on that. One, it depends on your state, it depends on that courtroom, and it depends on if your ex-partner, the person the other parent of the child, if they're pushing forward or not. Because if they don't, and you don't say anything, it is what it is, right? Now there's discovery and there's all that stuff. But depends on your state. And two, the court cannot garnish wages from your VA disability for child support. So can it be used as income? The answer is yes, just not as, it's not like you get a check from your job. It's not in that same connotation, but it can be used as income. Jason, I want to get your thoughts specifically on just how that whole situation went down. What are your thoughts on it? I'm more upset now than I was before. So, what are your thoughts on the whole interaction?
I think it's embarrassing. And I think that Judge Judy should actually acknowledge that she screwed up publicly on her show and say, for those of you in the military, I was missing. Look, you could be a judge, you can understand the law and all of that, but if it's not in your wheelhouse, you probably shouldn't speak to it, because here's the ramifications of what she did, in my opinion. One, it's embarrassing and all that stuff, right? And I already, that's just dumb. But here's the reality, and this is why it pisses me off. 70% of veterans are not service connected for any conditions. Of that amount of veterans, there's a large number that could be. However, they self-segregate out because they don't believe that they deserve, because they never served in combat, because they never went overseas, because it's for somebody else, because they can still walk, whatever. There's a bunch of hurdles in their mind regarding it. And Judge Judy's statement just pushed that narrative of you don't qualify unless you got injured overseas or saw something horrible for mental health. How the hell could that happen to you in, where was she, Virginia? In Virginia, right? And that is a disgrace. And Judge Judy needs to, in my opinion, needs to come clean with that and go, hey, look, I spoke on a turn. It was something I didn't know about. I didn't understand how benefits work, and go from there. She doesn't know if this lady has MST. My God, how insensitive and demeaning, and just a lack of class at the highest level through ignorance. That's my thoughts, Clay.
I think you said that a lot better than I did. That was a good way to articulate my thoughts. It makes me mad, man, and her last statement when she said, I love America, it's like, okay, let's just roll back for a second. She essentially said, she called out VA disability as a whole. She called out those two veterans specifically for their disability. And she's thinking of, this is the issue with the word disability. That the gentleman said he's both mentally and physically disabled, and her response was, it doesn't disable you from being a crane operator, or nowhere in 38 CFR does it say you cannot operate a crane. He could very well have a lumbar spine issue at 10%. Who knows? Now that they both said $2,000, so we know they're rated at 90%, but he could have a lumbar spine issue at 10%. And guess what? That is pain with motion. That has nothing to do with your ability to sit down and operate a crane. Does his back hurt? Probably. He might be on painkillers. He might be on whatever else the VA prescribed him, but that's none of Judge Judy's business at all. He could have radiculopathy. Being a crane operator with a 10% lumbar condition and radiculopathy, that's going to suck. Can you still sit there and operate the crane? Absolutely. You know, for me, full disclosure again, I'm just all about giving my news today. Yesterday, I did yard work. I'm rated 10% for my lower back. My lower back is not in any, I don't have any crazy diagnosis like that. I have pain with range of motion and some radiculopathy, and it sucks. It hurts, but it's not like disabled, so to speak, right? I did yard work. My newborn was crying, so I had to put the front baby thing on, set her in there. Now I'm mowing the yard with my infant. Can I do that? Yes. Does it hurt? Absolutely. And when I was done, I was like, hey, today is a painkiller type of day. I try not to use them every day. But that is what Judge Judy is. Her mannerisms and her demeaning. She basically said, hey, man up is essentially what she just said. Which I would punch her in the face. I think it goes back to that statement. I think Judge Judy deserves a good smacking around after that one, personally. Do you have any last thoughts on that as far as just that? I don't even know what to say. It sucks.
Right. No, it's horrible. And again, it's not just the two people she was talking to, which that's enough to already piss people off.
Mm-hmm.
It's her lack of knowledge, her speaking to it in the way that it was some sort of, you're scamming the system attitude. Yeah. And she doesn't even know the full story. Well, okay, fine. You said mental. Nobody wants to go up there and go, well, I had military sexual trauma, right? Nobody wants to say that on national TV. So you're like, mental health, and you're leaving it at that. I mean, I don't know if this lady had MST, but you have to just assume that it could be that. So therefore, be a little bit more sensitive and understand how these things even come to play. And again, Clay, the piece that really pisses me off is she just told millions of veterans out there that were potentially watching her show, you don't qualify.
Absolutely. And
that pisses me off. If I had her phone number, I'd call her, but I don't.
Oh yeah. Maybe we could invite Judge Judy to Veterans Daily. Who knows?
There you go. Work on that, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, this next one here. We're going to be looking at VFW's Don't Feed the Sharks video. It just came out a month ago. It is funny. It's kind of like dry humor type Seinfeld funny. I want to watch this and talk about this real quick. It's a minute long.
And now a special message from the VFW Washington office. The thing about these claim sharks companies, they're doing all kinds of crazy things that are like illegal. They're using people's social security numbers. They're logging onto the VA website with their credentials. They're even charging up to $20,000. They're taking advantage of veterans, and they're taking advantage of surviving dependents.
Pat, how long is this supposed to take?
Couple minutes, Joe.
Outstanding. Continue.
Well, as I was saying, there's a whole bunch of these companies like Trajector and VA Claims Insider and Patriot Angel, and there's Veterans Guardian, Veteran Benefit Guide, VETCOMM, Telemedica, Veterans Care Services, VA Claims Academy, Vet Assist, Veterans Disability Help, Just for Veterans. That's about it.
All right, there we go. It's very dry humor type. I will say the gentleman on the left side that was making copies who had the prosthetic leg at the end there, that is Patrick Murray. He's the VFW's National Legislative Director, and he is one of the leading figureheads when it comes to anti-claim sharks. Obviously, the VFW is very heavy on the claim shark side of the house. But speaking of claim sharks, I'm gonna kick this to you first because I definitely have thoughts on this. I'm sure everyone knows that. I want to get your thoughts on just VA disability claims consulting companies, should veterans use them? What is the answer around there? I don't think it's a simple yes or no. I want to hear your thoughts, and I'm definitely going to give mine at the end there.
Okay, I'm going to have a little bit of a different angle on this.
Mm-hmm.
And my true thoughts, Clay, the VFW, the DAV, the American Legion, and all the other veteran service organizations should have been pressing Congress a decade ago for more money into the veteran service organizations' ability to actually serve veterans. This includes the county veteran service offices, the states, at the state level, pushing federal funds into the states to actually create an atmosphere where veteran service officers, accredited vet reps, and so forth could actually increase their head count to serve veterans in a proactive way. I truly believe that these claim sharks have bubbled up out of as a byproduct of short funding to the free resources, right? So if you have free resources that are not funded appropriately, that have long wait times, aren't accepting new clients, don't even have a presence around where you're located, what is a veteran to do? Not every veteran is capable of navigating. Sure, watch 1,000 videos on YouTube and you too can file a claim yourself, right? Not everybody. Look, everybody has a different threshold for things, different bandwidths, different frustration levels. Not everybody is the same. Some people need a helping hand through the process, period. So there needs to be the resources available, plentiful for veterans to access this type of service. So I believe that the claim sharks are a byproduct of not funding the appropriate resources. And now we're pissed off that claim sharks popped up. Stupid. The veteran service organizations, need to lobby for more money into the states to actually help veterans. That's my situation with this. The other thing I'm going to throw in there, Clay, and then I'll kick it over to you, is by no means am I pro claim shark. That sounds stupid. Okay. But the reality is that an organization like that, a for-profit company, is going to be incentivized to help you get everything that you could possibly get. Do I think they overcharge? Absolutely. Would I ever suggest somebody to pay that amount of money to file a claim? No. My first course of action is always try to find an accredited rep to help you, either in your local area, go online, find somebody who can help you free of charge, or try to file the claim yourself and just get as much information as you can, ask questions. Other veterans can help, forums like Reddit, all of our YouTube videos and so forth, either us, like Clay, myself, answering your question. We get a lot of comments. It's hard to answer everybody, but either we answer you or other veterans will answer. Our brothers and sisters will help answer things. So that's kind of my answer on it. I think that it's a failure from 10 years ago is what I think that this is that we're dealing with today.
Oh yeah, I'm going to pull the thread on these companies being a symptom of a much larger problem. And to understand that, you have to go back. I want to say 2006 is when Congress essentially removed the ability for the VA to prosecute those who charge for disability claims. That's paraphrasing. I'm sure there's a better way to say that. But Congress made it legal for them to operate. That legal is one's interpretation of, okay, I don't want to go down that road. That happened in 2006. Okay, well, you think about what was happening. Well, 2001, hello, 9/11. Afghan happened. 2003, Iraq happened. You had Fallujah Part 2. You had Ramadi, Nasiriyah. Then you had the drawdown of Iraq, which people still died. So draw down my ass, Obviously, I have some personal feelings about that. Then you have Afghan in 2009, 2010 happen with Helmand Province. Huge surge for all services, specifically the Marine Corps. Then you had the drawdown my ass in 2012. where Marines were still dying. I'm saying Marines, but it's all service members. Then you had Sangin in 13 and 14. Fast forward to 15, 16, 17, you had Syria going absolutely buck wild that no one talks about. And then in 21, you had the actual drawdown of Afghan World 12 service members died. The reason why I brought all that up, that's 20 years. 20 years of people dying. When I say people, I mean 18 to 21-year-old kids, okay? The reason I'm saying it like that is because it's a big freaking deal that for 20 years this is going on, and it gets back to exactly what you just said. It's a funding issue. We have this huge surge of 20 years of service members. That's not even including your generation. That's not including Vietnam era, okay? That's just the last 20 years. This huge surge of veterans applying for VA disability. The VA was not postured in any way whatsoever 2 years ago. 2 years ago to handle that amount, much, much less in 05 and 2010 and 15, okay? You had VSOs, extremely lack of funding and training to handle that amount. And then, of course, you had the PACT Act on top of it. The PACT Act is great. I don't want to diss the PACT Act, but the PACT Act exacerbated that problem. Okay, there's much more than that, but that's the core issues here. And then in about, I want to say 2016, 2017 is when VA Claims Insider, Veterans Benefits Guide really emerged, maybe as early as 2015, to kind of fill that role. Okay, that was objectively a mistake of the American government, the U.S. government. That is, and I will die on that hill. Although I am anti-claim shark, these companies did the right thing in that moment. I would agree with that. Do they charge too much? Absolutely. Do they do predatory practices? Absolutely. Do they target those with BDD claims and only submit increases? Absolutely. I'm not a fan of that. But that's the issue at hand. That is why people are mad, and that's why people support these claims consulting companies, which I can almost agree with them. And I can spend the next hour talking about this, Jason. I won't. I'm going to leave it with this. There's the PLUS Act and there's the GUARD Act right now. They're not going to see any movement this year with the election year. You can just get over that. We're probably not going to see movement. I don't want to go conspiracy. If Trump is in office, which is wild to say right now because he just got 34 felonies, that's neither here or there. We're not even going to talk about that. He's very close with Peter O'Rourke, which is a former VA who also is the president of NAVR, which one is the leading figures for the PLUS Act. And so if Trump's in office, I think we will see movement on PLUS Act. If not, I think we won't. That's the real story of it. But what I would like to see personally are claims consulting companies not go away, because you cannot take away that option, because it gets back to what I just talked about underfunding, understaffed, under everything. But I think they need to be regulated under a hybrid version of PLUS and GUARD, where essentially they charge and only appeals. So basically a claims agent, right? Without the actual accreditation, I think anyone should be able to act on behalf of a veteran, given a contract signed by the veteran with regulated charges. Essentially, it pretty much copy pasting what a claims agent can do into your average everyday person who wants to help a veteran. That I can support, and I would support that. Okay, I would absolutely support that. But that's not a thing. So right now, I'm all for the GUARD Act. That's what I want to leave it at that, Jason, unless you have any last thoughts on that, because if anyone knows me and the CivDiv, that's just tip of the iceberg, okay? But do you have any last thoughts on, oh, well, actually, here, I'll pose a question to you. Do you think the hybrid version of what I just suggested of the PLUS Act, of companies acting as agents, do you think that would work? Do you think it's better? What are your thoughts on that?
I think a paid version for those that want to do it, that's not an out of pocket paid upfront fee, right? That it's only if they win, kind of like if you go to an attorney for an automobile accident, right? You don't have to go to an attorney, but if you want to, you can. And it's not money that you're giving them up front. It's out of the award that's won. Sure. Do I think there needs to be a cap? Absolutely. I think that, $20,000 is exorbitant. I think that there needs to be some sort of a something in place there to really limit the amount of money that can be earned. But it still needs to be enough to where it makes sense for these companies to operate, right? You're paying salaries, all that type of stuff. You're paying overhead. If you have a brick and mortar building, right? There's costs involved in running any business. So there has to be some income. Now, another workaround would be, imagine if they made them nonprofits. So you have to be a nonprofit, right? You can pay for your staff and you can pay for yourself as the CEO of your company or whatever. Now you've made yourself be a nonprofit. So that could be a way to help make that happen. But yeah, I'm for it because the reason why, twofold. One, I think that there should be that because the incentivized version, I think, makes sense to have somebody. There's veterans out there that are like, I have no clue. I need as much help as I can get. I need somebody to spend time with me. I need time. I need you to sit and go over my file with me. I'll get more and more stuff and go with you back and forth and whatever to figure out what I can file for. There's others that don't need that. And so they won't use that option. So I think that having that incentivized version is good, but I would say that in conjunction with that, Congress needs to recognize where the real issue is. And again, I'm going back to the lack of funding to free services.
Agreed.
I'm not just going to say it's just Congress, because the states need to step up their investment into veteran service organizations, veteran service officers. So not that they have to give money to the VFW and American Legion. The states need to give money to the counties for veteran services. So your veteran service officer, your accredited reps at the county levels for those states that have those. Every state has a Veterans Affairs for their state. Yeah, see, even Stan agrees. So every state has this. There needs to be a bigger investment. And here's the thing. Every state loves veterans to be in their state because we're bringing in billions of dollars, okay? The top 3 states, just to give everybody some perspective here, when you look at California, Texas, and Florida, the big 3 states as far as veteran population is concerned, they collectively bring in service-connected compensation alone. So just your bad back, your bad knee, your migraines, your sleep apnea, whatever. Your service-connected disability, not retirement, nothing else, no education benefits, nothing else, just service-connected compensation. Those 3 states bring in $30 billion a year into those 3 states. It's almost equal. It's like almost 10 billion in California, about 9 or 10 billion in Florida, and then like 11 or 12 billion in Texas. So they are getting that money into the residents of the state, veterans who spend it in the state. It gets taxed somewhere. It's supporting small businesses. Veterans are bringing in jobs, federal jobs, that type of stuff. The states need to do a better job in conjunction with the federal government helping them out. What they need to do is the federal government needs to incentivize the state to do it by saying, hey, look, state, for every $10 million that you invest in veteran services for your state, every 10 million will kick in another 10 million, right? And that's how you can jump that number up. An office of 10 people is a couple $1 million a year, and you can get some more folks in each of the states to help. That's my thoughts on it. I think that's the big problem.
Oh yeah, I totally agree, and I'm not even going to say anything because I will. This will be a 2-hour long conversation. The last video I want to show you, and this is very interesting to me because we already have selective service that you can quote unquote opt into. You're supposed to do it, but now there is a proposal on the floor to mandate men of 18 years to register for the draft. Okay. Potential draft. There's probably a better legal way to say that. Let's just go ahead and watch this video from Task and Purpose, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it. And that'll be the end of it, Jason.
Chris is thinking about making registering for the draft not just mandatory, but automatic. All right, everybody, let's take a deep breath and not fall victim to reacting to a headline. While the headline is true and it's not clickbait, there is a lot more to this story, so we did this video so you don't even have to read words. The proposed amendment is attached to the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act, which gives the DoD its budget and changes a bunch of rules and other shit. It's put forth by Representative Chrissy Houlihan of the House Armed Services Committee and stipulates that men between the ages of 18 to 25 will be automatically registered for selective service. Currently, registration for selective service, which is kind of like a roster for a potential draft, is mandatory but left up to the individuals to complete. Most states do automatically register you, but even with that, only about 85% of the eligible population makes it onto the rolls. This year alone, Selective Service will spend $33 million to improve registration compliance rates, and this proposal would basically eliminate that. Those who don't register for Selective Service can be found ineligible for things like federal jobs, federal student aid, security clearance, and can face up to 5 years in prison and thousands of dollars in fines. That doesn't really get enforced, though. Essentially, the only thing that will change is that now the federal government will use their massive databases to automatically register you. It's already mandatory, and for most of the population, it's already automatic. This isn't a mandatory service proposal because most of those are pretty fucking dumb anyways, or the precursor to a massive draft leading up to World War III. But for the people who've been ranting about World War III starting for years, that's exactly what this is. That and re-enlistment bonuses, quality of life improvements, new recruiting commercials, new weapons programs, and basically everything else that ever happens. Spoiler alert, we're always preparing for war. It's literally constant and why we spend nearly $1 trillion a year on defense. Let's be honest.
All right, Jason. So I like his comedy take on it. Personally, this person was a prior Marine too, so it's funny to me. But it really comes down to what he said. The only reason that would happen, well, there's two reasons. One was to eliminate the budget cost of selective service, and two is to prepare for World War III. I do think it's a big deal. It's obviously clickbaity, but with the world and how it is now, and I'm no foreign affairs expert at all, but I can tell you shit's going down. I think anyone can say that. What are your thoughts on this mandate for selective service being automatic versus how he put it? It's not optional. It's supposed to be automatic. Just what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
So I think that the U.S. government, the DoD, probably had some input on this because I think what's happening is that it is a proactive play. Look, our recruiting numbers have sucked. Mm-hmm. The climate of our potential recruits has changed. We're having trouble attracting them. We're doing what we can to be more attractive, but it's still the military. And we're still having issues and we're still falling short. What happens if, let's play war games. What happens if this trajectory stays for the next 10 years? And then some really additional shit goes down, yeah. Right? Where are we going to be poised to be in this war game that we're simulating? And AI says, you're effed. You better increase your numbers or you're going to have to just do a draft. Okay, well, we don't want to say draft because that sucks. We already know what that sounds like. So, let's just slowly start to prepare for that without really talking about it so much. And we'll just make this easier for everybody so they don't forget when you turn 18. And look, we could save some money over here. It's a drop in the bucket. The amount of money it doesn't even count. So they sneeze and they lose more money than that, right? So it's not about saving. Sure, it's about saving money. It's about making sure that they're getting 100% compliance for everyone over the age of 18 to be enrolled in selective service. And when I say everyone, I mean males, which I'm surprised that they didn't add females into it, considering female is a faster growing demographic in the military than ever before. But, whatever, it is what it is. But believe me, that day will come too. There's other, and don't think that's not a thing. There's other countries where females serve. So if we don't see the type of engagement within the desire to be part of the military, it could be an all hands on deck. Look, we're a small country in the big picture compared to some of these other places. So like China. So, you know, it could be an all hands on deck situation. And I think that it's just a proactive approach for if these additional bonuses and new barracks and, you know, some other little things that we're throwing out there, if the quality of life stuff and, oh, let's try to get this 19.5% raise. Did you see that? The 19.5% raise proposal for junior enlisted, and I think it's like a 4.5 or something for your NCOs. If we can't attract them with more money, better living conditions, and hiring bonuses, we have this to fall back on, even though it was already there. It's just, it was, you know, we need that extra 20%, you know, because every person counts. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Clay, how about you?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on this. One, exactly what you said. It is definitely for the what if scenario. I do think it's funny that it specifically calls out 18 to 25 males. And I'm going to go down the conspiracy track. I'm sorry for a second, right? It reminds me of a saying that goes, out of sight, out of mind. And so if they call it draft, holy baloney, it's a draft. If they added females in there, you know that's making national headline news on every outlet ever for months. Okay. And so let's not include it. Let's just slide it in the NDAA, which there are shrooms and LSD into the NDAA as well. So hey, the military doesn't look so bad now, right? I'm kidding. And so it slid into the NDAA, and it makes me think of out of sight, out of mind for that what if scenario. And I think that's an indicator right now with low recruitment for new service members, low retention for second, third termers, especially at that 4 and 8 year mark. That's where a lot of people get out, and that's where your experience is. And then with the indications of where the world is at now, those 3 alone, and there are millions more, those 3 alone with the mandatory draft / not a draft is enough for me to be like, yeah, that sucks. So, hey, if you're an 18, 25-year-old male that had no intentions of joining the military, welcome to the suck is all I got to say. But I'll leave it at that, Jason. Any final thoughts on any of this, and then go ahead and close us out?
No, I think that's it, man. There's so much. I'm still chapped about the Judge Judy thing, man. That's so
yeah.
So just thought I'd throw that out there again, so you can leave on that note.
Nice.
And if you didn't see the Judge Judy episode, then you need to go find that, because it's really irritating. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.